Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I think I've met almost all of you, but I will introduce myself. I'm Daniel Newmeyer, Vice President of Education, Research, and Collections at Space Center Houston. Space Center Houston is a separate nonprofit science center that is the official visitor center of NASA Johnson Space Center. And we are very, very excited to partner with the Conrad Challenge to take this extraordinary opportunity to students all around the world. This is a fantastic opportunity to give students a chance to be innovators and entrepreneurs and actually take their ideas and their work and take it to market, which is an extraordinary opportunity. Space Center Houston is very, very excited about the addition of the Conrad Challenge with what we do with what we call our STEM pathway, and our pathway to get students from just getting excited about space exploration, maybe excited about challenges that they find out in the world that they want to solve those problems. And then we can move them along this pathway up into the Conrad Challenge. We start with one called STEM Innovations in Schools, which is a low barrier of entry for students in elementary school to high school to just dabble in this idea of science competition and how can we do these extraordinary things. And then we build their confidence along the pathway. And we are so glad to have them now join the Conrad Challenge and go in and do the extraordinary things that these students do. And I will tell you, this all was built based on an extraordinary the extraordinary vision of Nancy Conrad, who's going to talk to you here in a minute. But in this meeting, we're specifically going to talk about the challenge, like how did this all come about, the student journey, how the judges are being recruited, and how the Conrad judging partners, like what is it like to be a judge? So our ultimate goal here is that you all get to be part of this extraordinary life-changing opportunity for students around the globe. So now I'd like to turn it over to the incredible, the incredible visionary of Nancy Conrad, who has, took an idea and turned it into something that has lasted the test of time and is changing millions of lives over the years that it's been in place. And so, Nancy, I'd love for you to take it away and, tell us why you started this grand idea.
I'm not a well woman, Daniel. You said the word love, and it kept running through my mind that this really all began out of a love story. And it was the relationship Pete and I had, and really what I learned from him. He was my master teacher in so many ways. And I think he's still a master teacher to students all over the world. This is a legacy for him. And this is to honor his story. And he was a young man who, a lot of people don't know this, Pete had a little learning disability. He had trouble reading and spelling. And this was back in the day when they didn't know what dyslexia was. I'm not even sure they knew how to spell dyslexia back then. And he pretty much hated school. And he ditched a lot. And, this is a kid that could have become a real problem child, a rowdy boy, if you will. And the one thing he loved to do was fly. And he understood systems and machines. And he soloed when he was 16 years old, and about the same time he got thrown out of a very snooty school. His mom found a little boarding school in upstate New York, and she took Pete there. And he got really lucky. The guy who was the headmaster of this school saw something special in Pete and took him under his wing. And Pete began to excel. He began to understand how to think and how to learn. That's where the genie in the bottle is, people. And that's the kind of magic we are transporting into the next generation. That genie in the bottle of how to think and how to learn. So Pete ends up with a scholarship to Princeton. It was compliments of Princeton and the United States Navy. He got there. It was the first class of aerospace engineers at Princeton. Again, he got very lucky. So of course he became an aerospace engineer. He liked to fly and he didn't have to read or spell. When he graduated, he owed the Navy a couple of years because they also paid for his scholarship, and he was top gunning off of carrier decks, having the time of his life, when President Kennedy decided he wanted to go to the moon. Well, Pete ended up 4 flights in space. He nailed a pinpoint landing on the moon on Apollo 12. What you may not know is that Buzz and Neil were 4 miles from their landing site, which truly could have spoiled their whole day. And so NASA decided to do a pinpoint landing, and there's a whole story about that I'll share with you all someday. And then he went on to fly Skylab. It was his first space, it was our first space station. It was damaged at launch. He rescued the lab, and for that he was awarded a Congressional Space Medal of Honor. And then Pete went on, he retired from the Navy and from NASA, and he went into the aviation industry and was working on single stage to orbit vehicles that could take us from, say, California to Italy in 45 minutes, flying in low Earth orbit. And when you look at Branson and Musk right now, they're flying a single stage to orbit. It's called an SSTO. And he created companies around it, had patents, and they were rocking and rolling when, unfortunately, in 1999, Pete was killed in an accident. So when I came up for air a few years later, I went, wow, here's a young man, an educator takes this kid under his wing, and this kid gets a moonshot. That's what we're going to do. We'll give kids their moonshot. And it's that same magic sauce and that same genie in the bottle, learning how to think and learning how to learn, and bringing young people to their own experience where they are participating in their learning, where they are participating in designing the future, and they are getting their moonshots. So that's what we've been doing. Now, Pete's lunar suit is at Space Center Houston. We have been having our events there, and how just brilliant and wonderful and synchronous it is right now for us to be working together in a collaboration with Space Center Houston and bringing these two wonderful entities together to expand the horizon of the Conrad Challenge and the portfolio of Space Center Houston, and to broaden the pathway for students and their education efforts. We combine education, innovation, and entrepreneurship, and we're right in the legacy of Pete Conrad. So to the moon, I say. Here we are 17 years later. We're all over the world. Young people have grabbed this. They work in teams, 2 to 5 in a team. Why? Well, that teaches leadership, communication, collaboration, and cooperation. What a concept, right? Now, wouldn't that be nice if the whole world worked like that, especially in today's world? So we invite you to be part of this effort, to be part of the family. The judging opportunity is one of the most crucial pieces of what we do, and your work with us as judges is essential to the success of this program. So I appreciate you all being here and having an interest in doing this. And we have our Supreme Judge, Simon, who has created a brilliant framework for the judging part of this effort. Molly, you take care of the categories and the intro of Simon. Thank you for hearing my story. You know, everything has a why. I just shared with you my why. Now we have what the students are going to be doing and what's their why.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to take you through a bit of the student journey so that you get the full picture today. The student teams, like Nancy said, they work in teams and they innovate all kinds of problems. We don't give them a box. We don't tell them what the problem is they're solving. They pick something that they're passionate about solving. But then what they do is they say, okay, what we're solving fits in one of these 4 categories. These are our 4 main categories. We have cyber technology and security, aerospace and aviation, energy and environment, and health and nutrition. This year, our leading categories so far are as per expected, energy and environment, and health and nutrition. So for the judging process, you will select, or your employee bases will select the category they would like to judge in or are comfortable judging in. They can select more than one. We have some wild cards like Kim, who works at Dell, but she has judged in multiple different categories. She has passions in a lot of different things. So here's the student journey. They form their teams. They do what we call a lean canvas, which is really brainstorming what they're going to solve, how they're going to solve it. They do a lot. They do 5, they do 10, and then they narrow in on the one that they're the most passionate about, and they submit short answers to that. Now, our team vets those initial lean canvases, and we pass them through to the innovation stage. At this point, they elaborate. They answer 12 innovation brief questions, and they create a website and a marketing video. These are the components that get passed to our online judges. So these are the components that you would see and be judging against our great judging rubric, the materials from the students. The top 5 scoring teams in each category get invited to attend the Innovation Summit held at Space Center Houston in April. So they join us. We have 4 days. We do workshops. We have amazing speakers. They meet students from all over the globe. They make lifelong friendships. You just have to see it in person. But while they're at Summit, they also get on stage in front of a panel of judges and present their ideas. So it's a 4 days of magical fun.
Molly, can I add a couple of things I forgot?
Absolutely.
So these are all students that are high schoolers, 13 to 18. Pete got his moonshot in high school when that educator took him under his wing. And I'm a high school teacher, so it made perfect sense to work in this sector. And it's kind of a perfect time where these students are really beginning to bloom. And when we watch them pitch, when they come to our Innovation Summit, you can see them just find that superpower. They bloom right in front of you. And some of our judges, and if you'd like, you're most welcome to come to our Innovation Summit and judge in real time. And hold on to your socks, because these kids, if you close your eyes, you're at Kleiner Perkins. They're that good. So I just wanted to add that piece. Thank you.
They're phenomenal.
One other thing, what's really great, as Molly said, these students are from across the globe. Some students work with students from within their own high school or their own organizations that they're a part of, but there's also students that collaborate across borders, across states, across countries, and they come from all different walks of life. So it's really amazing to see how these students learn how to work together. And mind you, we did all this virtually before virtually was a thing. And so it's given a lot of students an opportunity to participate, as well as the judges to participate. You know, a lot of times you have to go in person to something to be able to volunteer your time and your expertise and your information and your experience. But this opportunity allows anyone that you know, really from a grad student, you know, all the way up to someone that's retired, the opportunity to really change these students' lives. The one thing that we're always told from the students is, what was the one thing that you really walked away from the competition and the challenge with that was the most important to you? And it always comes back to the judge feedback and information that they gave us to continue on and improve our innovation, our product. And so what the judges do for our students is really priceless.
I want to add one thing to that. When these students work together across countries, cities, states, socioeconomic levels, genders, this is where education can start to become diplomacy. And, you know, given the world we're living in right now, wouldn't it be nice if peace could break out? You know, this is the seedlings of global collaboration and global cooperation. So I think it's really incredible and important for these young people to learn about each other, particularly in this fashion of collaboration. Thank you.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said any of that better. But Kristen on our team, she is our judge coordinator. So she will be the one that works very closely with all of our judges and gets to know them personally. So she knows all the fun on the judging front. So just to give you a brief update here, these numbers are from actually last week. So we are way past this. We are sitting at about over 400 teams in progress. That means registered teams. 23 are submitted. Yesterday it was like 38. So these numbers are a bit dated, but you can see how fast we are growing, which is a great problem to have. We are setting records this year. Last year we were not sitting at these numbers, which is amazing. But it also presents a challenge for us because, as you can see the math, if we get each team judged at least by 3 individual judges, we're looking at needing quite a large bank of judges. And that's where you come in. And at this point, I am going to pass it over to our chief judge, Simon Glinsky, to take us through what it is to be a judge, what it looks like, how it works, and take it away, Simon.
Thank you, Molly. Molly, just page on to the next page for me, please. Because as I hear all my talented colleagues speaking today, I really just want to go to the last point on what is it that a judge partner institution enjoys. And that is, number one, I would say the sheer delight and fulfillment of working with students and young people. In the world today where we've got so many challenges and so many layers of issues, these are students who have self-selected to create innovations and engage in a fairly challenging process. We've been named one of the top 11 science competitions, and the word out on the street is we're among the very toughest, but with good reason, because we want students to learn not only science, business, also how to work together, how to receive coaching and improve their innovation. And we also require original innovations, which is different from some of the other competitions out there. So the first thing I just want to highlight is most, really 90% plus of the judges I speak to, there's just a sheer delight after having interacted even online with these teams and see what the students are capable of. Then I want to mention that team members, employees, members who become judges, they're getting an interesting exposure to what's on the minds of young people out there. What kind of innovations, and these innovations are typically mission driven to address some of the challenges we face in the world today about water, the environment, energy, space. So it's a very nice mixing in to the minds of your teams what's going on out there. And then many judges also enjoy learning about our frameworks. And in a moment, I'll give you a glimpse of one of them. We spend a little bit of time with judges in December offering training, and we publish a very good judge's guide. And then judges apply that in January, early February to perform the judging. So I want to call attention to probably the 2 most important upcoming dates. One is our December 1 deadline for signing up judges. And we've made the process easy. We have our website and on the flyer that you have or we'll continue distributing, which you can share with your team members, is the site conradchallenge.org/judging. Or you just go to the .org. There's a lot to explore there and see what the projects are like and what the students are like. But on the judging page is a simple form where judges can enter their information, and they can also enter into a blank space there the institution name, so that if we want to rack up for you who actually registered and who actually volunteered. And the other most important date is the judging period itself, which for the innovation stage or semifinals will be January 19 through February 2nd, 2024. So as far as potential judges thinking through their time commitment, that's the time when judges need to make sure they can prepare on their calendar and work and life schedules the 5 to 10 hours that we recommend for judging. There's probably, for a new judge, there's probably 1 to 2 hours prior to that to either participate in the online training or watch the recording or spend some time with our judge's guide. Okay. In terms of who to invite for judging, we cast a broad net because each team, excuse me, receives benefit of 3 to 5 judges. So some judges are content experts, for example, maybe a scientist, let's say, in the energy field. Some judges are very good at business or certain functions in business, like marketing or entrepreneurship. Some folks work in different agencies or fields that relate to innovation, like patents, maybe an attorney or an expert in innovation development. So it's pretty broad. We look for someone who wants to do it, who has an aptitude for coaching and writing in a coaching style. Now, we do give judges some tips in doing this, but naturally, a judge needs to be someone who wants to read the student submissions, watch short videos that the students prepare, and then write about a paragraph in each of 5 to 7 assessment areas that we will provide to the judges. And we ask judges to use a positive coaching method. So in other words, instead of calling out errors, give the positive suggestion. Give the teams the idea, look into this segment rather than you've missed this segment. So it's a very good practice for judges in writing and coaching and thinking about assessment. We do ask judges to assign scores. The student teams don't receive the scores. We use those to help us select the finalists, which will only be about 20 to 30 teams out of the teams that complete the entire required entry for semifinals. We don't know how many that'll be this year, but last year that was about 600 teams. So it's a very refined selection. We've got to choose only 20 to 30 teams last year out of 600. And so judges' comments and scoring are very important. This is the scoring guide for the innovation stage. And I won't go over the details now, just to show you that it's very organized. The scoring guide is organized into 5 different areas, which are a useful framework to think about innovation and new business. And behind this is another pretty neat framework that we've developed, the Conrad Challenge 10 innovation questions. So judges will also have exposure to and interact with that as they read the student submissions. And we also give a lot of coaching about the scoring because it's difficult, especially when it comes to the top teams. The innovations are very impressive. In fact, I'll point out that when teams achieve finalist status and are invited to the in-person innovation summit, they're asked to file provisional patents. So these are not your typical, at least in the finalist realm, not your typical science fair project. These are very clever ideas that apply leading edge technology to solve problems. Okay. So I'd really like to hear now from a couple of our judge partners in the past. We've had some wonderful relationships in the past with Dell Technologies and TopTal. And after we hear from Kim and Jessica, I'd like to know if you have any questions about what it's like to be a judge in the challenge. Kim has served as a judge herself, both in the semifinal and in-person finals, as well as inviting a number of her colleagues to be judges. And Dell has also been a sponsor of the Conrad Challenge, providing some of the prizes for our students. Kim, tell us a little bit about your experience as a judge and as an institutional judge partner.
Sure. Thanks for having me here. Nancy, I'm so happy to see you. You brought a very big smile to my very pink. I'm very much representing in pink today because of an event we're doing here. Thank you so much, Conrad Challenge, for having me here. Yes, I have participated now for 4 years, I believe. It's been a minute. For those of you that are here from different companies and you're kind of thinking, is this something I want to bring to my team? Is this something that is worth investing and advocating for? I'm here to say, without a doubt, yes, it is worth it. I know that we all get a lot of pitches. I'm in the environmental social government space. Many of you may be in your corporate social responsibility or employee empowerment space, whatever it may be, and you get a lot of pitches, and you can't pursue all of them, right? Because there's just not enough of us to go around. This one's worth it. And I'm glad that I've invested the time and the effort for it. And this is what I would want to share with you is right now, more than ever over the last few years, our employees have gone through some peaks and valleys, a lot of valleys, and they're looking for purpose and what can I do to make the world a better place? Participating as a judge in this challenge is something that they can do to find purpose. And when your employees have purpose, they are more productive employees, and therefore your company does better. So you are investing in youth, but you're investing in your own company when you encourage your employees to participate in this. The other reason that was very important for me is it's hybrid. At Dell, where, some people, I'm in the office today, and there's some of them who don't live anywhere near an office. And sometimes it's really hard to pick what you want to invest your time in because you don't want to leave anyone out. You don't have to leave anyone out on this. The ones that want to do this virtually, there's opportunities for them. The ones that want to show up in Houston, Texas at the end, there's opportunities for them as well. So it's a little bit of everything. And then, as far as how to get the word out, I know they're going to go over that, but we all have those channels at work. And one thing I have found is that once you put this out there a little bit, it kind of takes a life of its own. Again, people are looking for purpose, but they're not looking for 100 hours of purpose. 10 hours, when Simon says it takes 5 to 10 hours, I think is what you said. I would say that's 100% correct. When I survey my judges, they all spend about 7 to 8 hours, right, in that sweet spot. And that is a perfect amount of time for them to take away from their work and invest in something that they feel passionate about. And often what I see is when they come back from judging, they've got this like invigorated sense of, yeah, we got this. Let's take on the world. And that's what you want, because then your company is also going to benefit, not just the students and the nonprofits. So I think that's from Kim to you all. I met Nancy in Phoenix, and she told me, save your juice, kid. And that was the advice she gave me. And it meant pick what's really important and invest all in. This is really important to me, and I invest all in, and I encourage you to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. The other thing I did want to point out is we find a lot of people that actively have employees and company members participate, and they come back and they say, we really, found some students that we would love to offer internships to, or we see them being a good fit for our future workforce. So this is definitely, again, one of the things that Conrad focuses on is preparing these students for their future, whether it's college or the workforce. And so by giving them the opportunity to interact with these judges, which they will after judging is completed, and they do have the opportunity at Summit and after Summit, which again is another great thing that the challenge provides our students. So we are not just a competition that's one and done. Our students stick around. We have an alumni group that is amazing. I think there are over 300 students that span all the way back from the beginning of the challenge till now. So some of them are far into their career, some of them are still in high school and college. And they come back and they appreciate the time and the experience that they've received from the challenge so much that they come back and volunteer their time to help other students to promote the challenge. Some come back and judge, they come back and speak. So we have a really amazing group of students, again, that grow from the judges and the subject matter experts that we have that participate in our program, and then come back to then, provide that kind of love back to the program. So the judges, in my opinion, are the most integral part of that whole process.
See, I told y'all she loves the judges. That's why we put her as our judge coordinator. Thank you, Kim. Just a little bit of background. So when Kim first started rolling this out at Dell, we were excited. We were like, we got 6 Dell judges. Yes. The second year she rolled it out again, the 6 came back and they brought 6 more. And I think we had like, nearing 20. Last year we were 30 plus Dell judges. So trust me, she says it takes on a life of its own, and it really does. So these are a few ways you can distribute. So your company intranet, company newsletters, just generic email all of the company, the basic. We will route around some social media, canned social media for you, easy to just promote, post in your networks, post on your personal networks. There is a flyer, informational flyer, and this presentation we will send you after for your use. So we're here to help. We're here to answer any questions. If you're like, hey, Molly and Kristen, we just have a few more questions. Can we get on another call? We're here to support whatever you guys need.
Yeah, and we're here to make that sharing process as easy as possible. So we'll send you kind of a package that you can take and customize very easily to fit whoever you're going to send it to. Again, because we want that process to be smooth and easy for you to be able to share with as many people. And we encourage you, whoever you share it with, we encourage you, again, it's the domino effect, right? We encourage them to share it with any people that they might know, and then they share it with them. So again, it really does help by sharing it.
Okay.
Let me ask if there are any questions now from any of our friends at the institutions.
I do have one question. I know the innovation stage online judging is happening from January 19th to, I think it was February 2nd. And the judging, I think, takes 5 to 10 hours of a judge's time. Is there a set time of when a judge needs to do that judging, or can they do it whenever they have availability?
Whenever they want.
They can do it whenever they want, Lucas. What we highly recommend is for the judges to try to kind of kick off the judge period with their, judging, just because we all know life happens. And we see it with the students, like a student will wait until the last minute and then inevitably something pops up in their life. Same thing happens with judges. So we encourage them to try to do it early on in that time frame. However, they can complete it at any point during that period of time.
Okay. Cool.
Especially with companies too, Lucas. So like Dell's a prime example. Sometimes we have firewall issues where they're like, oh, my company email isn't working, and we have to get IT to white label the URL and things like that. So we always recommend you at least log into your account really early. Make sure you can get in, make sure you can see everything, just in case there is any hiccups.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And the one thing that our team does is we ensure that we are available 24/7 pretty much right before the judging period begins, all the way through the judging period. So our team will always be either an email or a phone call away to help a judge with any issues that they're having. Because again, we want to make this process as easy for them as possible and as enjoyable for them as we can.
I mentioned a couple other things. It benefits from more than one look. So while judges can work anytime during the period, it's better to, as Kristen said, to start early so at least you have a look and can sleep on it. And sometimes it does require some thought especially if you get a couple of teams that are really strong. How do you score those and advise those teams? And then the other thing I'll mention is the online system we use called Award Force it's quite good. We offer some training in that in December, and then as Chris and Molly mentioned, it's better not to wait for the last day. Sometimes there are hiccups, so people should log into that and get a little familiar with how it works.
Anyone, would like to have kind of a separate call to discuss, any questions you might have related to how you can share within your organization and maybe how we can help you tailor that. We're happy to, jump on a separate call. Again, this is the time of year that I'm happy to stay later in the afternoon if it's helpful to have that conversation after hours. So love growing my judging roster.
Absolutely. And you can, I mean, if you have a nephew who's a grad student somewhere, like, don't just limit it. Like, whoever, Rena emailed 100 people the other day. So,
Well,
I'm always excited to, hear about those people that said, well, I was talking to some of my friends at dinner one night, just casually brought it up, and they mentioned that they know somebody that has this organization, and I shared it with them. So you never really know what niche it might fit into with certain people. So again, there's folks that love to give back to students. There's some folks that are just really passionate about STEM. There's others that are passionate about innovation and entrepreneurship. And then again, there's also those that are thinking of their future workforce, and I'd like to get eyes on who those kids might be. And so really, even if you're not sure, just send it.
I really want to thank our guests from the institutions for joining us and for thinking about. Hopefully, you'll go through with it and become our judge partner in the Conrad Challenge. But definitely welcome any questions after today. And I also want to thank our team for putting this together this year to elevate our working with institutions. So we're very excited about this. Thank you.
Absolutely. What we'll do is we'll follow up with an email. We'll share this PowerPoint presentation with all of you. We'll also share the recording if you'd like. So again, you can use that as you please as an additional tool to help you with recording.
Thank you, team.
Thanks, everyone.